Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. As you already know, this channel is all about your career growth, your personal growth, and your productivity. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please kindly hit the subscribe button and let's get into the topic of today. We can't talk about growth and productivity without talking about social media and how it affects us. So for the month of June, I have been on a social media break. It's not a social media break in the sense of, oh, I'm going through something and I need some time off, or I feel overwhelmed, or that I'm sick, or there is like a season in my life where I just feel like I want to stay off social media. This is an intentional and deliberately crafted time in my calendar where I said, in June, I am not going to show up on social media. And the reason I had to state this is that I have noticed that most of the time, people only go on social media breaks when there is something going on with them. And that is also why a lot of people assume that people only leave social media when there is something going on with them. But what if that is not the case? What if we don't make it that it is only when we are overwhelmed or completely stressed out or sick or going through something in our personal life that we only remember to take a step back from social media? What if taking social media breaks become something that we deliberately craft into our routine or into our goals when we are setting goals for the week or for the year or for the quarter? Regardless of all the positive attributes that social media brings, the opportunities, the network, all of the advantages that being active on social media brings, you and I know that there are a lot of other hidden parts, which are the negative aspects that people don't usually talk about. And I'm just going to go through some of the things or the negative side effects of social media. You already know the positive ones, right? So I'm going to quickly go through some of the negative aspects of consistently consuming social media content day in, day out. For one, overindulging on social media content reduces your focus. Or you're working and you're literally checking notifications and checking things on social media. For a lot of people, your social media is the first thing you check in the morning and the last thing you see before you go to bed. Sometimes you can't do something for like 40 minutes to 1 hour without checking your phone, without checking a prompt on WhatsApp, without checking your Facebook to see how your last post is performing. Social media brings a lot of distraction that sometimes is hard to be there. For some of us, you might be with a friend or with a partner and you're having a conversation, but you're not even there because your mind is all over maybe something you heard on social media, or you're even actively pressing your phone while engaging in a conversation. And then there is the comparison game. I'm going to make a separate video on comparison and how social media affects us in that way and how we can also come out of it. Comparison is something very harmful because it's very unfair to you, because you're basically comparing the entirety of your life with someone else's highlights, someone who doesn't even have the same background as you, someone who has a different calling than you, someone who has a different season they are in, but you're in your own corner and you're comparing yourself to them. This is what social media brings. If social media was not here, you would only have a few people in your circle to compare yourself to. But social media gives that avenue to have so many pool of people to consistently compare ourselves with. And when you continue to be on social media, you wouldn't even know when you start doing the comparison if you don't keep yourself in check. Sometimes some of us say that we are not easily influenced, but let me tell you the truth. We all get influenced one way or the other. Some influences are more subtle than others, but we all get influenced. Some of these influences could be positive and some of them could be negative. There have been several times where you see something on social media and because of that thing you saw on social media, you took an action you ordinarily didn't want to take or wouldn't have taken. As I said, it could be positive and it could also be negative. Sometimes you even find yourself aspiring towards other people's dreams and aspirations instead of looking at your own goal. Social media gives you an avenue to look outwards more than you look inwards. You look at people, they influence you to live, they influence you to do things. And as I said, it could be gradual, some could be more intense than others, but we have to say the truth to ourselves, which is that social media has its own influence on our lives. And if you consistently consume content without taking a step back once in a while to reflect, to look inward, to listen to yourself, and to recalibrate on your goals and understand why you're choosing to do what you're doing. Is this what God is telling you that you need to be doing in this season? Or are you doing this out of pressure because of the things you're seeing on social media? Should we talk about the mental fatigue aspect of social media consumption, the anxiety, the depression a lot of people feel after consuming several opinions, several content on social media that consistently makes you feel bad about yourself, that consistently makes you feel that you are not doing enough. People rarely feel that they are not doing enough simply because of what is happening within them. It's usually out of external pressure. It's always when you look at someone else's wins, what someone else has. And it is usually on social media. And as I said, when you look at these things, you're unfairly judging yourself because you don't know the processes those people have gone through before they got to where they are. But you're only looking at their highlights, you're only looking at their wins. They don't share their struggles. Nobody has a dedicated platform where they share only struggles. They share mostly wins. And this is absolutely normal. And before you know it, your mental health is at stake. You start feeling more anxious, you start feeling depressed, and you start feeling generally bad about life. And these are some of the things that social media consumption does to people on a daily. This is the reason why I advocate for social media breaks. And social media breaks don't have to be for an entire year or for a month. You know how often you need to use social media for work. If your work does not involve social media, then good for you. Then you can take as much breaks as you can. But for someone who relies on social media to sell or to do a couple of things, you can take your breaks in smaller chunks. You could schedule out posts for a certain day. Maybe on a weekend, you have posts going out on a Saturday, for instance, and you ensure that on that Saturday, you're not engaging with any social media platform. You can even go an extra step to uninstall all your social media platforms and just have that day for yourself. You don't need to wait until you're feeling down. You don't need to get overstimulated. You don't need to get tired. You don't need to be sick. You don't need to be pregnant. You don't need to be going through postpartum stress. Like, you don't need any big reason to take a social media break. The only reason you need to take a social media break is that it is something worth doing. Well, I also believe that even when you are actively on social media, you should still curtail how much you use it, even on your daily. I mean, when you're not on a social media break. Even despite all of those things, it's still important that you have days or weeks set aside to stay off social media entirely. Another thing I want to mention about taking social media breaks is that taking social media breaks does not mean to stop posting on social media, because I noticed that's what some people do. They would say, okay, I'm going on a social media break, and then what they basically do is to stop posting, and then they pick up their phone and they literally look through other people's lives. There's nothing bad with not having to post on social media at all, but choosing to just view and read and view stories and all that. But if you're really intentional about going on social media breaks, you don't have to show up on social media at all. Being on social media break does not mean that you stopped posting. It means that you stopped entertaining voices. That is the whole idea. It's not about your posts stopping. In fact, as a matter of fact, you can actually schedule posts in advance and go on a break. People will keep seeing your post, but you're not there. The point of social media breaks is not that people stopped hearing from you. That is not the point. It's that you blocked off external voices, because that is the main thing that you're protecting yourself from. And that is why you have to take these breaks, because as I said, it is subtle. You can always be there on social media and you think, oh, you're thinking your thought. This is my thought, of course. This is my goal. I'm running towards this goal. It's something I've always wanted to do. But if you don't take a step back, you won't realize that those goals you're pursuing are no longer yours. You're basically pursuing the goal an influencer set for you. So if there is one thing you get out of this video, is an encouragement to take a break from social media for no other reason other than it is something that has to be done. Okay, social media will always be there. Even if you take 6 months break, it will always be there, and it's not running away. And whenever you come back and keep putting measures in place to ensure that you don't overindulge. I hope this video was helpful. Do like this video and subscribe. Till next time, bye.